Chatters, chatties, welcome home for a Great American Chat, a podcast where we chat about great American media. I'm Chad Maurice, getting it done early today. It's 9 o'clock here on the East Coast, and we are diving into the last three 2023 Great American Christmas movies. We're going to be chatting about Peppermint and Postcards, 12 Games of Christmas, and A Royal Christmas Holiday. But before we get into that, let's chat about the Great American Book Club. They are meeting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern. Cammie and Father Randy will be discussing Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. And here is the schedule for the next 4 months. In February, they will be discussing Mansfield Park. In March, Little Women, and in April, Jane Eyre. And as always, you can sign up for the book club at greatamericanfamily.com, and they will email you the Zoom link. All right, let's get into Peppermint and Postcards. Let me adjust my mic here for a second. Hold on, I can't hear myself for some. Oh, there we go, that's better. All right, let's get into Peppermint and Postcards. This one premiered on December 10th, stars Ella Cannon and Christopher Russell, directed by Jim Cliff, written by Haley November. This is the story of Kara. She is a divorced single mother who is hosting her ex-husband and his new French fiancée for Christmas. There on the far left is Kara, and there in the center is Chris and Susie. That is Kara's ex-husband and his French fiancée. Chet over there on the right is a TV reporter looking for his big break to get on national television. And down at the bottom there is Megan. That is Kara's daughter. So the movie opens up with Chris and Susie arriving at Kara's house. Megan, her daughter, is thrilled to meet Dad's new fiancée, but Kara is not. The four of them go to a Christmas tree lot to buy a tree for Kara and Megan. And while they are there, they get interviewed by a local TV reporter, Chet, who is doing a story about the town's Christmas traditions. Chet tells them about the Christmas Eve dance that has been going on for 50 years and asks if they will be going. He is looking for a big story to go national to help him get this promotion to a big national TV station. Megan overhears her mother and Susie talking about the Christmas Eve dance and gets an idea to write a letter to Santa, asking him to find her mother love for Christmas. Instead of putting the letter in an envelope and mailing it, she puts it on an open windowsill and it blows away. It is found by the owner of the town's bakery, Maxwell, and he puts it on display in his bakery. Susie sees it, takes a picture of it, and posts it on social media, and it gets 350,000 likes. Chet and Ned, his cameraman, find out about the story and decide to pursue it. They realize that they recognize Maxwell's bakery in the photo that they see online and somehow figure out that Megan is the one who wrote it. So they show up at Kara's house and they want to interview, quote, Santa Mom, which is the nickname for Kara that social media has came up with. Chet tries to interview Kara on live TV. She says her name is Holly and that she is not looking for love and slams the door in his face. Oops. Kara is getting thousands of letters from all over the country addressed to Santa Mom asking her out for a date. She agrees to do an interview with Chet. He asks some hard-hitting questions, like why she got divorced, what she is looking for in a man, what her idea of a fun date would be. Then he gets the idea that her date should be at the Christmas Eve dance, which he will be broadcasting live from. But then he sets her up on a date at the Christmas tree lot. And this Christmas tree lot date doesn't go very well. Chet thinks Kara's next date should be a blind date at the ice skating rink. So he sets her up with a popular, handsome guy who says he can skate, but he cannot. He just said that because he wanted to get on TV. They make him put on skates and get on the ice. He falls flat on his back, and the date is over. Chet and Kara sit down and have a talk. Kara finds out that Chet was born and raised in town, and his father was a newspaper reporter. She tells him she is jealous of Susie and her daughter's relationship. Chet says he was engaged to a weather girl, but she ran away with their boss. That's not good. Chet and Kara go for a skate, even though Chet says he can't skate. The next day, someone leaves a package of baked goods on Kara's front porch with a note saying he would love to ask her out to dinner, and it's signed M. Kara figures out it is from Maxwell, the bakery owner, so she asks Chet to set them up on a romantic date. Chet gets a little jealous watching Kara and Maxwell on their date. Oh, wait. Whoops, all right, forgot to move the slide. There we go. All right, so here we go. Chet gets a little jealous watching Kara and Maxwell on their date, and the entire time Kara is looking at Chet. Chet gives Maxwell tickets to the Christmas dance for the big TV finale. The date ends with Maxwell asking her to the Christmas dance and giving her a kiss on the cheek. Kara then shows up to the TV station the next day and tells Chet she no longer wants to be Santa Mom. She just wants to be herself. She says she no longer wants to be on TV or do any of the dates. Chet tells her he got that promotion he was looking for, and he is going to be moving to the big city for a big TV job. He realizes his promotion is in trouble, so he goes sledding with Kara and Megan to talk her into continuing with the dates. And they have a nice family moment and a snowball fight. Kara tells Maxwell that she felt no spark with him and does not want to go to the dance with him. And he tells her the same thing. Chet shows up to Kara's house, and she tells him she is not going to the dance with Maxwell. And he says, "You need to go to that dance." Kara gets upset and starts crying and says, "Okay, I'll go to the stupid dance with Maxwell so you can get your promotion, and then you can leave. We will never see each other ever again." Megan overhears her mother telling Susie that she is not going to the dance with Maxwell, and she's gonna, or no, Megan overhears, I don't know, she says she is going to go to the dance with Maxwell and fake that she is having a good time, even though she really likes Chet and is sad that Chet is leaving. Megan gets an idea and goes to the bakery to have a talk with Maxwell. Oh, now it's time for the big Christmas Eve dance. Ned proposes to his girlfriend. Chet tries to do a live interview with Maxwell and Kara. He asks Maxwell, "What is so special about Kara?" And Maxwell says, "I don't know. Why don't you tell us?" Chet is speechless. Maxwell tells him that he gave his ticket to someone else. Megan speaks up and says, "He gave it to me, and I'm going to give it to someone who wants to dance with Mom and who Mom wants to dance with." Chet says, "Well, who would that be?" Megan says, "You," and hands him the ticket. Chet freaks out, and he starts talking about his promotion, But then he confesses his love to Kara on live TV, and I think he gives up his promotion. I'm not sure, but I think he did. He and Kara kiss in front of everyone as everyone applauds and cheers like they've never seen anyone kiss before. And I'm not sure if Chet is staying in town or if he is leaving. All right. So, this movie, I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but I have to. This movie is my least favorite movie of the 21 Great American Christmas movies. Yeah. I think this movie has the least amount of chemistry out of the 21 movies. I think the actors are fine in the movie. I don't have any problem with the actors. I just didn't feel much spark between these two. I think Kara had more chemistry with Maxwell, the bakery owner. The supporting characters in this movie are good. The girl who plays Megan, I think she's really cute. I like Ned, the cameraman. I like Maxwell, the baker. The meet cute I thought was unique, with a TV reporter interviewing someone at the Christmas tree lot. That was good. The conflict of this movie I thought was really good. Her deciding to end the dates because of her feelings for Chet, and him needing her to continue the dates so he can get his promotion. But there are a few things that don't make sense in this movie, like the title, for example, Peppermint and Postcards. There's no peppermint in the movies. There's no postcards. Megan, the little girl, wrote a letter to Santa. She didn't write a postcard to Santa. And another thing, Megan putting the letter to Santa on an open windowsill makes absolutely no sense. A little kid her age would know you don't throw a letter out a window to Santa. You put it in an envelope and you mail it to Santa. But I know they did that because they had to figure out a way for someone to find the letter and for it to get put in the bakery. But yeah, it didn't make much sense. It also didn't make much sense to me why they were calling her Santa Mom. I understand that her daughter wrote a letter to Santa, and that's where they're getting the title Santa Mom. But I didn't like it. I cringed every time they called her that. I think a better name would have been Single Mom or Desperate Mom or Divorced Mom, anything but Santa Mom, because Santa Mom makes it sound like she's Santa's mother. You know, makes it sound like she's Santa's mom, and she's not Santa's mom. So yeah, I didn't like that term. One thing I'm left wondering after watching this movie, I'm wondering if the actress who played Susie is really French, or if she was just faking a French accent. I don't know. I did enjoy the comedy in this movie, though. This one had a little bit more comedy than some of the other movies. So I did enjoy that part of the movie. But this movie overall, I did not enjoy it as much as some of the other movies in the lineup, unfortunately. So let's get into 12 Games of Christmas. This one premiered on December 17th. Stars Felicia Cooper and Johnny Ramey. It's directed by Anthony C. Ferrante and written by Anna Rasmussen. So this is the story of Kelsey, Nora, Liam, Ethan, Lori, and Dan. Kelsey is our lead. I don't know what she does for a living, but she likes to throw Christmas parties. Nora and Liam are Kelsey's newlywed sister and brother-in-law. Ethan is a teacher who just moved back to town from New York City. Lori, at the bottom there, the blonde, she is Kelsey's neighbor. Dan, I have no idea who he is, but he shows up to this Christmas party. So Kelsey is organizing a Christmas dinner for her sister Nora and Nora's new husband Liam and her neighbor Lori. While she is getting ready, someone rings her doorbell and leaves a board game on the front porch, you know, like you do. Two unexpected guests show up. Dan, who was invited, but Kelsey didn't think he was coming, and Ethan, a childhood friend of Kelsey's, who she had a thing for. Well, I got to move the slide. After dinner, Ethan sees 12 Games of Christmas, the board game someone left on Kelsey's front porch. He says, "Your Aunt Amelia had this game. I always wanted to play it." He says, "Let's play it." And they are all in and say, okay. There is a note from Aunt Amelia inside the board game box that says, "May this help remind you what is truly important and to always have faith guide you even when you aren't sure of the correct path." They put their player pieces, which are snow globes, they put them on the board game at the starting point of the board game. And as soon as they do that, the front door flies open, snow starts coming in, and they are transported into the game. They are greeted by Mayor Thomas, the mayor of Yuletide, which is the name of the town in the game. First, he tells them in order to go home, they have to play the game. But then he tells them they can go home anytime they want, just by shaking their snow globes. He explains the purpose of the game is to teach people what the true importance of Christmas is, and they all agree to stay and play the game. The mayor says the first game was them arriving in Yuletide. The second game involves them making hot chocolate. So they all make a cup of hot chocolate, and then they each taste it. And then they decide to combine all their cups into one cup. So they pour everyone's cup into a pot. The mayor comes in and he says he needs to try it. So he takes a big swig, swishes it around in his mouth, and swallows all of their germs. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this scene was kind of gross. It grossed me out. They ask, well, who won the game? He says this game is about finding your message, and no one found their message yet. He also says winning the game isn't important. It is about the journey that is discovered. They travel to the next game on a miniature train, and this game involves singing Christmas carols. They sing "Hark the Herald Angels Sing," but they didn't complete the game because Kelsey wouldn't sing. So now they have to go on to the fourth game. The fourth game involves making a wreath. They make a wreath together, but the mayor says, nah, still not good enough. You're going to have to keep playing. The fifth game involves making gingerbread houses. Lori is struggling with hers. She has what looks like a garage door stuck on the roof of her house. She said she usually makes a gingerbread house with her grandmother every year, but last year they couldn't, and it looks like this year they won't be able to either. Before Lori has a breakdown, they all decide to help her make her house. She explains to the mayor about the family tradition she has of making a house with her grandmother. A church bell rings and the mayor tells her it's time for her to go home. The mayor says she learned how important family traditions are, especially during the holidays. She shakes her cute little snow globe, heads out of there, and then calls her grandmother. Game 6 involves them picking out festive Christmas outfits. Kelsey finds a 1970s camera and they take pictures of each other. Dan gets the church bells and is sent home because he learns how important family is. And then we get a touching scene between Dan and his daughter when he returns home, and they tell each other how happy they are to be together and how much they love each other. The 4 remaining people ride the train to game 7 and 8, which involves decorating cookies and boxing them into boxes. Each team has to decorate 4 dozen cookies. Holy cow, 4 dozen cookies. That's a lot of cookies. That's 96 cookies they have to decorate. The 2 newlyweds win this game because they learned how to compromise and work together. They shake their snow globes, say, "Beam me up, Scotty," and they get beamed home. So now all that's left to play the game is Ethan and Kelsey. Game 9 involves craft making. Ethan and Kelsey make paper snowflakes. In the middle of crafting, they decide to take a break and go ice skating. Because of their ice skating break, they don't finish this game. Excuse me. The mayor has them write a prayer on the back of a wooden ornament to hang on the town Christmas tree. Now for game 10, they have to paint a sign for the town's Christmas festival. After painting the sign, they still don't hear the church bells, so they start to get a little perturbed. Kelsey asks the mayor, hey, how much more do we have to learn? He says, oh, there is plenty more to learn. Trimming a Christmas tree is game 11. They are having a good time hanging lights and ornaments on the tree. They open up and say how great it is to have each other back in their lives. And then Kelsey gets upset for no reason, starts crying, and then runs away. And why, I have no idea. That part was really confusing. Kelsey goes to the church and prays. Aunt Amelia shows up and says, I gave you the game because, like me a few years ago, you are at a crossroads in your life. And I have no idea what she is talking about because Kelsey has been happy the entire movie. Kelsey says, I messed up. How can I fix it? Fix what? What'd you mess up? I have no idea what she's talking about. She didn't mess up anything. So yeah, another confusing scene here. Ethan says he's ready to go home. The mayor says, well, if you are sure, just shake your snow globe. Kelsey shows up on the train and stops him from leaving. She says they should finish decorating the tree. Hanging on the tree, she finds the Christmas card she sent Ethan when they were teenagers. The one she has been upset about all these years because he never responded. He says, this is the first time I've ever seen this card. They put the star tree topper on the tree. Kelsey thanks the mayor for showing her that Christmas is about loving and appreciating the people that mean the most to you. Ethan says Christmas and love starts with family, and we shouldn't shy away from expressing that love. They get the church bells and blast off. They get back to Kelsey's house. They pop champagne. They wish each other a Merry Christmas. They kiss, and the credits roll. All right. So, this movie. I actually like this movie. I like movies that have Christmas magic. And this movie definitely has Christmas magic of them going into a board game. This movie has some good Christmas messages in it, like what is important at Christmas time. I like all those messages. The mayor talks about traditions and families and compromising and working together, loving and appreciating people in your life. I like all those messages. I think the two leads have good chemistry in this movie. I like the supporting characters in this movie. Oh, hold on a minute. Let me move the slide here. Yeah, I like the supporting characters. It was fun seeing the blonde from I'll Be Home for Christmas. She's in this movie. She plays Laura in this movie. Her name is Erica Duke, but she was in last year's movie, I'll Be Home for Christmas. The child actor from Little House on the Prairie plays the mayor in this movie. Patrick, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Patrick Labero, something like that, I believe his name is. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a long French last name. And the guy who plays Mr. Gabriel in this movie, I recognized him. His name is Anthony Jensen. I saw him play a psycho killer doctor in some Lifetime movie a year or two ago. So it was fun seeing him in this movie, fun seeing all of them in this movie. My favorite scene in this movie would probably be Aunt Amelia showing up in the church and explaining to Kelsey why she gave her the game. That was a touching scene. The conflict in this movie makes absolutely no sense to me. I don't know why Kelsey got upset and ran to the church, and why she says she messed something up and needs to fix it. I don't know what she messed up or what she needed to fix. I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me. So that was one part of this movie that I didn't like. What I'm left wondering after watching this movie, do the people they meet while they're playing the game and while they're like inside the game, do those people live in the game year round, or are they regular people who exist out in the regular world and like Aunt Amelia, they just go inside the game at Christmas time? I don't know. That was never answered. And also, what was the 12th game? I didn't get what the 12th game was. I couldn't figure it out. I think it was putting the star on top of the Christmas tree, I think was the 12th game, but trimming the tree was the 11th game, and putting a topper on top of a tree, that's part of trimming a tree. So I would have thought that would have been included as part of the 11th game, but I guess it wasn't. I don't know. So I was left a little confused about what the 12th game was. So this movie, yeah, I liked this movie. The thing I liked about this movie, I liked that the romance takes a back seat in this movie, and that this movie focuses more on the meaning of Christmas and what is important at Christmas time. Really love that, because most of these Christmas movies that networks always have on, they're just romantic movies that take place at Christmas time, but they have nothing to do with Christmas. You know what I mean? They just take place in the month of December. So I really like Christmas movies where Christmas is the main focus of the movie, and the movie has a good Christmas theme, and the romance is like the secondary storyline. I love movies like that, and this movie is one of those movies. So that's why I like this movie. All right, let me get my slides back up here. Hold on here, because we got to talk about the last movie here. Wait a minute here. Let me get these up here. All right. All right, here we go. Let's get into chatting about A Royal Christmas Holiday. This one premiered on December 23rd. Stars Brittany Underwood and Jonathan Stoddard. Written and directed by Fred Olen Ray. So Katie is our main character. She's a TV reporter who does public service announcements, and she's looking for her big break. Oh, just like the reporter in Peppermint and Postcards. She's looking for her big break. Prince Jonathan is the Prince of Visaria, I think is how you pronounce that country. He is in the U.S. to give a speech at a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a museum's World War II display. Carol, who you see on the far right there, is a diva TV host that Katie works with. Marcy and Jared, down the bottom left there. Marcy is Carol's assistant, and Jared is the program director of the TV station where Katie and Carol work. So the movie opens up with us finding out that Carol, who is the host of the TV show that Katie works on, is going on Christmas vacation. So they are going to run recordings of the show that she hosts. Katie tells Jared that she could do Carol's job and wants her big break to try and prove it to him. Jared says, well, I have this story that just came across my desk. It is about a prince who is coming to town to give a speech at a new display at the museum. He says, since Carol is on vacation, you can have it. And if you get an interview with the prince, you will get that TV special you want. We see the prince walking through the airport. He's telling his manservant how no one recognizes him anymore. Meanwhile, everyone in the airport is standing up and bowing as he walks by. So I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that was a pretty funny scene. Katie grabs Marcy and heads to the airport. She tries to interview the prince, but his manservant says, We don't have time for this. Because Katie is attractive and the prince is smitten with her, he agrees to an interview at a later time. Katie tracks down the prince at his hotel and calls him. He says, "Let's meet later tonight after dinner." And he tells her the restaurant that he's going to be at. Katie shows up at the restaurant. Carol, who is also having dinner there, sees her talking to him and is wondering what is going on. Katie and Jonathan cannot take their eyes off each other, and there is some flirting going on. She tells him she wants to interview him about his book, his grandfather's story, and the museum dedication ceremony. Carol goes to the TV studio and asks Jared what's going on, the program director there. She asks, "Is there some prince in town doing some kind of ceremony or ribbon cutting?" Jared lies and says, "I don't know." Katie interviews Prince Jonathan while they are walking around the city. They go to see the World War II ship that his grandfather served on, and they go out to lunch. While they are having lunch, Katie gets a call from her mother telling her her father fell off a ladder, and her mother wants her to come home. So the prince goes with her. Oh, then we get a good green screen car scene when the prince tells her how much he is enjoying spending time with her. They stop for tea and cookies. The store owner says the Santa Claus he hired is running late because his car broke down. Prince Jonathan says, "Give me the Santa suit, I'll be your Santa Claus." A kid sitting on his lap asks for a bike for Christmas, but his mother signals to Santa and says that she can't afford one. So the prince buys the bike for the kid, and Katie is impressed by his kind heart. Oh, this was a good scene. I really like that scene. That one really tugs at the heartstrings for sure. I think that's my favorite scene in the movie right there. Jonathan meets Katie's parents. Her mother loves him, and her father is an Army vet who was awarded a Purple Heart. They both tell him that Katie is a handful. Katie interviews the prince in her parents' living room, and during the interview, he confesses that he didn't write his book. A ghostwriter did. Katie assures him she will edit that part of the interview out. Jared tells Marcy to contact Katie and tell her we need the interview by tonight in order to get it edited and aired in time. Marcy texts Katie and lets her know they need her interview ASAP. So Katie wraps things up and emails the interview to Marcy. Jonathan asks Katie to help him with the speech he has to give at the museum. So they go back to the city and work on it. She gets a call from Jared saying he is going to edit her interview and get the promos for it on the air in the next commercial break. She gets upset when she overhears Jonathan talking to his manservant about Jonathan's fiancée, a woman who his mother is trying to get him to marry. Then Jonathan gets upset at her when her interview promo comes on TV and it is promoting his confession that he didn't write his book. All right, now it's time for the World War II museum opening at the museum, or the World War II display opening at the museum. Jared tells Jonathan that Katie knew nothing about how the interview was edited. It was all his doing. He also tells him he is not going to run the interview that he promoted, and that he is going to edit out the part about Jonathan not writing his book. Then Carol eats crow and tells Jonathan what a wonderful job Katie did, and that she is getting her own show in prime time. And Carol is a little jealous about that. Katie shows up and gives Jonathan his speech, along with the bracelet that he gave her earlier in the movie as a gift. She also drew a heart and a sad face at the top of his speech to let him know how heartbroken she is. Jonathan gives his speech and then runs after Katie as she tries to leave. He tells her he doesn't have a fiancé and explains it was all made up by his mother for the press. He confesses his love to her, and she doesn't know what to say. She's left speechless, I guess. He says, give me a chance. They lock lips. And I'm left wondering, where are these two going to be living? All right. Let me get rid of the screen there. So this movie, this is another one that I like. And, you know, I'm not a big fan of these royal movies, but I like this one. This one has a little bit different spin on the regular royal movie, and it has a little bit different storyline that I like. And dare I say, I think I like this movie better than Danica's royal movie that she did this year. I like the leads. I like that the lead in this movie works in television and is trying to snag an interview with a prince. That was a good storyline. And what I really like about this movie, I like that the prince had a secret of his own that he was trying to hide. I like that the prince was flawed in this movie and not a perfect person, because usually in these royal movies, the royal person is usually like the perfect person who has no flaws. So I like that. I like that about this movie, that he had a secret he was trying to hide himself. The two leads in this movie, they have good chemistry. And I think that Jonathan, I just realized the actor's name is Jonathan and he's playing Prince Jonathan. I just realized that. But I think he's better in this movie than he was in last year's Royals movie that he did, the skating movie that he did for Christmas. And I think this movie is a better movie. I like this movie better. It's nice to see Brittany Underwood in this movie. I have seen her in a lot of Lifetime movies, so I was very familiar with her. And what's funny is I've seen her with brown hair, I've seen her with blonde hair, and now in this movie, we get to see her as a redhead, and I think she looks good as a redhead. So I liked her in this movie. The supporting characters, I like Carol, the actress who plays Carol, Meredith Thomas. She is a Lifetime queen. I've seen her in a ton of Lifetime movies, so it was fun seeing her in this movie. And like I said, Brittany has also done a lot of Lifetime movies. Now, the actress who plays Katie's mother, Karen Richmond, I don't know if you recognized her or not. She's been in a lot of movies and TV shows, but she played Gidget on a TV series back in the 80s. So when I saw her, I was like, oh, I remember her. That's Gidget. So it's fun seeing her pop up on the screen. I haven't seen her in years. My favorite scene in this movie, like I mentioned before, is Jonathan playing Santa and buying the kid a bike. I thought that was a real touching scene. I really like the conflict in this movie. I like that we had double conflict. So because she got upset with him about having a fiance, and then he got upset with her about airing the unedited interview that she said she wasn't going to air. So yeah, I really like that was the conflict, how they both got mad at each other. Because usually, like I said, usually in these movies, usually just the female gets upset with the male. What I'm left wondering after watching this movie is how are they going to make this relationship work? She just got her own primetime TV show. So is she going to give up her show and move to this area? Or is he going to move to the U.S.? I don't know. I think we may need a sequel to find out what happened to these two. Oh, the other thing I'm left wondering is what was the favor Katie's dad asked Jonathan? There's a scene when Prince Jonathan walks into her dad's bedroom, and he says to the dad, can I ask you for your advice? And he says, yes, if I can ask you for a favor. But then the next scene is something completely different, and we never get to find out what the favor was that Katie's dad asked Jonathan. I don't know. So I'm wondering about that. Last thing I'm wondering, I wanted to see Carol's reaction when she found out that Katie got the exclusive interview with the prince. I wanted to see her freak out, but we don't get to see that. I also wanted to see her get upset when she found out that Carol was going to get her own primetime TV show. Oh, I wanted to see that. because Meredith is good in those Lifetime movies, and I know she's good at getting upset. So I wanted to see that. So that is it. There it is. I did it. I got through all 21 Great American Christmas movies. Whew. I wasn't sure if I was going to, but I'm proud of myself. I did it. I did it a month after Christmas. Today's January 24th, but at least I did it. I mean, I did go out of town for a week in December for Christmas Con, and I did get sick for a week after Christmas Con. So, but still, my goal was to finish all 21 movies by December 24th, but I didn't make it. I made it by January 24th. So at least I made it. So, to wrap up this last movie. Normally, when I'm watching a royal movie, I'm like, okay, it's another royal movie. I'll just get through it. So I'm like, yeah, royal, yeah, right, or whatever. And then I don't really get too excited about them. But this movie, this royal movie, this last movie, I was really engaged about it, really engaged into it. I was really into it, and I wanted to find out what was going to happen with these two. So yeah, that was my final wrap up on these movies. All right, so that's a wrap on 2023 Great American Christmas movie recaps. But in the next episode, I am going to rank all these movies from 21 to 1. So I'm not finished chatting about Great American Christmas yet. And I believe that Nicole from Swing My Heart podcast is going to join me for that episode. And it may be one episode, it may be two. I don't know. It depends how far we get. Because we're going to be chatting about all 21 movies. So I don't know. We may do the bottom 11 in one episode and then the top 10 in the second episode. Or we may chat about all 21. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know what your thoughts are on these last three movies: Peppermint and Postcards, 12 Games of Christmas, and A Royal Christmas Holiday. And as always, you can reach out to me on social media at Great American Chat. And also at Chad Maurice, or you can just shoot me an email, which is the email address is chad@greatamericanchat.com. So until next time, and we rank these movies, you keep the faith, keep smiling, keep your friends close, and keep your great American family closer.